What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more AFK Journey, and to wrap up the 3 new heroes today, if you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you go check out Dunlinger, go check out Nara. Both of them have really cool kits. We come to Sinbad, the A level, and kind of like the mascot main character, it seems like, of the upcoming Waves of Intrigue story. Now, just keep in mind, he is an A level physical range. Typically, A levels have been overall power level a little bit lower. However, this hero is unique. I think his value is much higher in the early game, and he'll drop off a little bit in the late game. And let me explain to you guys exactly why I think that. He has some very, very interesting abilities. I want to start out with his main Tracker's instinct ability. So 6 seconds into the battle, he will vault behind his allies and start assessing the enemy team's strength. Really interesting. He marks the enemy dealing the most damage as the hitter on the enemy team, and the one that's taking the most damage as the guard. Those two things are very, very important. These marks will last for 30 seconds, and Sinbad then charges at the hitter, aka the one that's been dealing the most damage to your team, dealing damage 4 times, and reducing their attack by 45%. Now that's going to go up even higher, all the way up to 60. That is a huge survivability game in things like Dream Realm. However, it doesn't work at full power. I'll get to that in a second. Next, he then takes on the guard, dealing damage 4 times while also increasing the damage they take by 25%. So that's just like the ability that Reinier has. Pretty cool. Both debuffs expire when their respective marks do. If the marked enemy is defeated, or when the marks expire, Sinbad will start a new assessment, become unaffected, unCCable, and do this again. The downside here is the debuffs are only 20% effective against bosses. So while you're increasing the damage taken by 40% on the guarded target, and in boss scenarios it will be the boss, that means you're only dealing 8% increased damage and not 40 because of that 20%. Same with the attack reduction. That's 12% attack reduction. Still a decent attack reduction on the enemy. It's good, it's bad, it's alright. Everything else in his kit is essentially damaging type abilities. Duo cut, swings the double-headed blade twice, hitting and dealing damage. His hero focus is for damage. His ultimate skill, Whizzing Edge, has a passive and an active version. The passive version is he will deal normal attack damage, and his casting speed is affected both by his attack speed and his haste. That is really, really fast attack power on this hero. And then the active, Sinbad lands as many hits as possible on the enemy for 3 seconds, dealing damage per hit. After these successive hits attack, he delivers a final strike for more damage. So again, most of his kits just pure damage, kind of what you come to expect from like an A-level hero. His real power, I feel like, comes in the Tracker's instinct, and then when you do get him to Mythic Plus, it gets better. That Tracker's ability does become a little bit to quite a bit better. So Sinbad studies the fighting styles of both the hitter and the guard to strengthen the debuffs he applies to them. If the hitter deals more normal attack damage, Sinbad debuffs them with lower attack speed as well. If they deal more skill damage, the debuff will reduce their energy recovery by 60%. For the guard target, it will depend more on healing from allies or themselves, Sinbad will debuff and reduce their vitality by 60. If they rely more on damage mitigation, you're going to reduce their physical and magic defense by 30%. So that's going to help on bosses early game while also providing survivability to your team. So it's kind of like a Coco that can also deal damage, which is kind of like a very interesting thing to have, because you remember, early game and early season survivability on those bosses can be very difficult before you even get to Endless. At level 2, basically amping all those numbers up. And then level 3, once again, this one is interesting. If the enemy is marked as a hitter or guard in 2 consecutive assessments, their attack is further reduced by 10% if marked as a hitter, and they will take 5% more damage if marked as guard. And again, 20% additional damage. There's a lot going on here. So whether or not he's going to be viable as a boss support hero, I really don't know. Because remember, he's still a rogue. He's still a damage dealer at the end of the day. His Supreme basically just deals additional dart damage to them. Again, not something we really care about. I think his most use ability is going to come from Tracker's Instinct. And even at a single copy of this hero in the early game, I do think it can provide quite a bit of survivability to your team with that attack reduction, the energy reduction, all those things can happen if you get him to like Mythic Plus, but just the raw attack reduction and increasing the amount of damage that boss takes by 8% is better than nothing. Because remember, Reinier doesn't kick in until he's Mythic Plus, whereas Sinbad kicks in immediately. And to be honest, I almost just want to call him free to play Reinier is kind of what he feels like. So I'm going to show you guys a Dream Realm battle, I think, on this one to show you guys what it's like. Maybe not, though. This is not the best boss to actually show it off with. And same thing with here. Like, we're not in a good point to show off a lot of these teams here. Even though we are on the Lightbearer one, you will notice here some people were using Sinbad for survivability and damage combinations. It just depends on what the team comp is. I think he's going to be a very reliable hero. Is he going to be a meta-defining hero? I don't think so. So I'm going to show you guys what it actually looks like. We're going to throw some heroes in the front here. And let's put Sinbad in once again. We'll put him in the back here just so you can see what happens. Even if you put him in the front, you'll notice what happens here is 6 seconds into the battle, he's going to go from being in this front spot right here, and he teleports to the back. And you'll notice you see these two icons above their head. They have the hitter, the one that's dealing the most damage, and the guard, the one that's taking the most damage. And you can kind of notice he's literally just jumping all over the battlefield. He's going to be a hard target to kind of track down and keep a hold of on the battlefield. We're not even using full teams because I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for you guys to see what he's doing here. So just keep an eye on him. Once again, he does target those two right there, the one dealing the most damage, and he just zips back and forth, dealing damage to both of them, which is very strong. And then he will get his ultimate off when he's done doing the dashing. And when he uses his ultimate, he's going to get a lot of attacks off. So he goes all over the battlefield. He reminds me a lot of Lily May, where she just jumps all over the place and does some craziness while also providing a decent amount of damage. And granted, we only have Freesto in this team, so the damage might not look super crazy. He is an okay damage dealer. However, he doesn't have true damage, which is the one downside I feel like he's going to have in Dream Realm. If he had some sort of true damage, I think he would be very meta-defining. However, I think he's still going to be a very good utility hero to have for both damage, support, and damage buffing. So let me know what you guys think. If you want to see him in very specific scenarios, once again, I will show him off. This is the last of the 3 heroes here today that we have news of. These are going to be very early Waves of Intrigue released heroes. After that, we have a ton other ones, it looks like, from the story that we might get, including a dwarf. Of course, the pirate dude, which looks really, really awesome. Maybe even Tassie, because she was in the trailer. We have a lot of heroes coming up. And so far, the first 3 heroes seem like they each have an actual use, especially when we compare it to Lenya, which was kind of garbage. Every shape and form of the hero was a big disappointment. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. That is Sinbad, and I'll see you guys next time.